they have a chance to redeem themselves. But no, this is something that, again, shows our growth. Constantly beats the, well, Americans can't have the game of soccer. No, we're not only doing it from the managerial front, and we're not only doing it from a player front. And this is just proving to the rest of the world that Americans can do a really good job. Now, we can go back to Matarazzo. I mean, he took over a side where he didn't even have a January transfer window, or he showed up late in the January transfer window, so he didn't really have time to kind of buy any players. But he takes over a side that, was struggling. They were, only a couple points off from the drop, beats a Barcelona, and then, gets to a Copa del Rey final. For Sociedad, this is massive for them. I think they won it a couple years ago when Martin Zubamendi was there. But no, this is massive for the club of Real Sociedad, because this is a massive club in Spain. This is a club that is, trying to get back to where they were a couple of years ago, of getting into the Champions League, into the knockouts of the Champions League, trying to knock off a Barcelona or Real Madrid eventually at some point in La Liga. But if you can make a cup run like this is massive for Real Sociedad, and this just continues to break the wall of Americans trying to make it in the Americans making it in the men's soccer game. I wasn't going to say in the game of soccer, because women's side is just so dominant over the years, over the last couple of decades. So that'd be a little injustice to them. But no, this is just continuing to prove our point that we can hang with these guys. And everyone always talks about, the players this, the players have to have this, the players have to have this. Sometimes you got to have a good manager as well. And we've talked about it time and time again on the show, whether we need an American coach to manage our American men's soccer team. I still don't buy that. I really don't, because look at Emma Hayes. She's from England.
The game's the game, man.
It's fine. And at the same time, though, we don't have a good American manager that could manage our men's national team. For being completely honest, we haven't gotten that far yet. And I would hope that, well, I guess maybe Jesse Marsh, but Canada still hasn't done anything. But if I were to see, if we were, because I still think Poch is gone, but if the window happens where we need a coach and Matarazzo needs a coach, I'm calling him 100%, because he's doing what he's doing right now with Real Sociedad is unbelievable. He is a coach that is the first American to bring a team in the top 5 flights in Europe, in the world of soccer, to a final, and this is massive. And he's playing against a favorable opponent, I would say, in Atletico Madrid, because he's not going to get up against the Barcelonas. He's not going up against the Real Madrids. And you know what also he did? He beat his rival, his arch rival, Athletic Club. Well, it's Atletico Bilbao, or Athletic Bilbao, Athletic Club, whatever you want to call it, which is up to you. But they beat their arch rival for this. And for the people who don't know, this is a massive rivalry in the Basque Country in Spain. Just putting it out there. But this is, he does that, gets to a final. And if he lifts this trophy, you bet your ass we're talking about it inside the game. I know a lot of people won't be talking about it, around the American soccer media. But Matarazzo continues to do his thing. We could argue new manager bump. We can argue that, because I've said that about Michael Carrick time and time again.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see how this whole season plays out. But you know what, also at the same time, Michael Carrick's not in a cup final. Matarazzo is. Takes over similar timing, I would say. And you know what? He's in a cup final. And shout out Matarazzo and Real Sociedad for getting there.
The other thing I really like about Pellegrino Matarazzo, too, is he has a very unique story. And he has, I guess you would call it, quote, the American dream story. The truth is that, he came up with Italian immigrant parents, in New Jersey. Grew up there, went to Fairlawn High School, where he was a multi-sport athlete. He played basketball, he played soccer. Obviously, the most success he had was in soccer, obviously. But he was a multi-sport athlete, ended up going to Columbia, graduated from Columbia. He came from humble roots. He came from the demographic of players and coaches and just people in this game that we continue to want to promote, to get more involved with the game, to, not stop them from being able to succeed and being able to get to the next level. Cause he went the high school route. I mean, obviously it was a longer time ago. It was a different time, but very, very humble beginnings, very, very modest, humble beginnings, especially coming up to an Italian immigrant family, which obviously we know life was not easy for Italians in the United States once upon a time. So, it is, it's an inspirational story. And then obviously he goes over, after he graduates from Columbia, he goes over to Europe, and that's where kind of his career and everything starts for him. But, he has a great background and a great story, and now he's developed that into being one of the best managers over there, and now has a chance to go win a cup final. If I'm the U.S. men's national team and if Mauricio Pochettino is gone, and you're right, if there is a window in order to at least inquire about bringing him back to the United States, absolutely I'm taking that opportunity, because I think Pellegrino Matarazzo embodies a lot of what we want to see in soccer, in this sport in the U.S., which is, that coming from humble beginnings, which is, the grittiness in the fight, and, just the wealth of soccer knowledge that he brings. I just think he has a really, really inspirational story. Obviously, he's a great soccer mind. We know this, but I think that plays into it a lot too. And you love to see that, and that's exactly the type of people that we want to see succeed in this game. And so I just think he could do a lot to build this program if we ever wanted to bring him back. But you're right, Ryan. I think the most important thing to keep in mind is that, I think sometimes people forget that these, particular managers or players are from the U.S. because, yeah, they grow up here, maybe they go to high school or whatever, but then they go over there and they learn everything that they know in the international space. Now it's just a matter of somehow combining all of that, the best pieces of what we have over in Europe, whether it be managers or players, and trying to continue to build this thing in the right direction. The hard thing is that they're scattered to the wind. Yeah. And so that's the hard thing sometimes about building that. But no, Pellegrino Matarazzo's background is one that I think U.S. soccer could cling to big time. So I think that's something else to keep in mind.
Yeah, what does the American fan or the American people love the most in terms of sports? That great underdog story. That's why Nate loves Indiana so much. I'm surprised Nate's not a big Nebraska basketball fan this year too. They kind of suck though now.
Michigan. Well, my team's pretty good, so I can't. Yeah, I
can't. Okay. So if Michigan football, if they become good, the Indiana love will go away.
Yeah, it'll probably die off a little bit. Yeah, that's how that works. That's how bandwagons work, right?
But what do American people like what do the American fans like when it comes to sports? That underdog, that grit, that had to overcome this obstacle. That's why they make movies about these damn things. So I think it would be a really good story. I think
he's the example of the player that we talk about that's not going to get recognized. The one that plays in high school. It's like, we're not really looking at those guys. It's not really, you're not playing in one of these leagues. Now, he's one of those guys.
Now, if Matarazzo was from the west side of Michigan, oh boy, you bet Nate, you bet your ass Nate's gonna be like, oh my God, this might be the greatest manager of all time. Who? Pep who?
From Jersey.
Fergie who?
He's from Jersey.
Yeah, from Jersey.
Still Italian, man. I got
They're
Italian
part of the
blood.
network. They're building up a good thing going on. They get the new women's side this year. Their new coach just got introduced, so shout out to them.
Very nice.
Speaking of
Very
Jersey,
nice.
way to mention Jersey, because that gives them a little bit of love to New Jersey United in their upcoming season. But no, it'd be really good for him to come back, and for all the people that hate we needed an American to manage the American team. Look, man, we don't have the resources to do that yet. We don't have the education. We don't have the background to do so yet. We've tried it in 2022. We tried it in 14. We did it in 10. I'm sure we did it in 6 and 2 and whatever. And it doesn't work. So who cares if the manager's American when we suck? So
it was Bruce Arena when we got to the quarterfinal, right? And I don't think Bruce Arena from. Wait, where was Bruce Arena born?
He was born in the United States, I'm pretty sure.
He was? Yeah, he was. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Wasn't he? Where was
Bob Bradley was 10.
Oh, he's in New York.
Oh,
New York.
I forgot. Klinsmann was 14. Klinsmann was 14. I forgot about that.
Jurgen Klinsmann. Yeah.
I forgot Klinsmann was 14. And to be honest, that may have been the best World Cup that I've ever seen the U.S. play in up to this point. 2010, no. Actually, 2010 when they won the group, but then they lost to Ghana. But no, the teams that they had to beat in 2014, I thought the group that they had was unbelievable. Prime Germany that won it all, Portugal, and then you had prime Ghana still that just knocked you out in 2010. And then you battled with Belgium, who was, Romelu Lukaku, Kevin De Bruyne, prime Eden Hazard. That team was insane. But
the reality is that,
just proves my point. You don't need an American manager. But because again, I still think Poch is gone come November. I think after the window, I think Poch is all right, America. I'm looking for jobs, but I want to still be employed. So I'm just going to be here. Maybe we do a couple more windows together. But after that, I mean, he could get grouped and just fired on the spot. So there's that. But no, it's just that it's just it doesn't really bother me. But Matarazzo, I'd love for him to be the manager at some point of the U.S. men's national team at some point because I think he's a bright mind. I think he would. I just don't think he would, take any shits from anybody because the disaster was the disaster that was the 2025 summer with the Gold Cup. Then the disaster of 2024 summer. So all the sidebars, I think Matarazzo would just be like, all right, man, just do what you want to do. You won't be a part of the team anymore. Just constantly talk. So, no, I just don't think he'd put up with anything.
Yeah. Well, and he's probably, we talk about the best players that America has produced. He's probably one of the best managers. So, there's so much to like. There's so much to like about his story. There's so much to like about the way he came up and the way he wanted to. And the only question is whether or not he would want to come back and coach the U.S. I feel like it's for the men's team. It's just such a thankless position because if you lose, it's like, well, you're just continuing the trend that we've come to expect. But if you win, all of a sudden, like if Mauricio Pochettino goes on a run in the 26 World Cup, I don't know if the people are going to want him to leave. There might be some pressure put on his shoulder to be like, well, you're the first manager to ever do this with us, so now you can't go.
Yeah,
like,
no.
We're going
I
to need
get
you to
that,
stick
but
around.
at the same time, I think Pochettino's heart's still in
It's
the
probably
cup game
not
overseas,
Yeah.
and I can't really fault him or stop a guy that still thinks his heart he can still manage a PSG or a Chelsea or a Man City because I think a couple jobs are going to be opening up. I think the Manchester United job, I think the City job, Chelsea's job will always be up. And to be honest with you, Nate, if Arne Slot continues to suck, the Liverpool job's going to be open. The Real Madrid job might be open if Arbeloa continues to falter over there. Barcelona, Bayern, no, but there's going to be some lucrative job openings this summer, and I think in the middle of next season, just because of the way that some of the big boys have played this year. So I still think he's going to be a hot name come